Hello, this is a demo and setup guide for the OBS Overlay Manager for custom Robo that I've made. I previously made a guide for something that I call the OBS Parts Loader, which is similar to this, but this manager can do a few more things and it's a bit more refined. So the main feature of this manager is the ability to load parts from a running Dolphin game into OBS text sources. So if I click this Load OBS button here on the manager, it'll automatically update these 4 text sources with the parts that each row has selected. Randomize the parts, load it again, and it'll update everything. If players are in the middle of picking parts, I can click this clear button, and it'll clear all the sources out to this waiting for builds text. And then there's also the ability to manage scores here and player names. So I can update these player names here, update the scores, and click this update scoreboard button, and it'll update everything up here corresponding to the players' names and scores. I can also click these buttons here to raise or lower an individual score by 1. To get this set up for yourself, go to the GitHub link in the description, go over to releases here, and download the zip file. Go to your downloads folder, unzip the file, and this overlay manager folder, the path that it's in will matter later. So if you want it to be somewhere other than your downloads folder, move it there now. And ideally, this should be a place where you won't have to move it around later. Open the overlay manager folder, then dist, and run the exe. When you run the exe, it'll also open this terminal window. If you close the terminal window, it'll close the overlay manager window, so just keep it minimized. Next, open up OBS and make 8 text sources, 1 for each robo, 1 for each player's name, and 1 for each player's score. For each text source, have it read from a file, and select the file in Overlay Manager, dist, OBS sources, corresponding to whatever the text source is. Blue, green, red, and yellow correspond to the robos for those colors. Player 1 name and player 2 name are each player's name, and player 1 score and player 2 score are each player's score. After you create all those text sources and have them read from the corresponding files and arrange them, they might look something like this. If you don't already have Dolphin open it up and go to the 1v1 tag parts select screen. On the OBS Overlay Manager window, click Load to OBS, and you can see these 4 text sources populate with the currently selected builds. You can also click Clear if players are still selecting parts to pull up this waiting for builds text. And over here, you can select each player's name and score, and click Update Scoreboard to update the names and scores. You can also click these +1 and -1 buttons on each player's score if you want to move them up or down by 1. Now you notice that as I use different parts, the player 2 parts, the text sources will move around a little bit. This is because OBS text sources are aligned to the left edge. To remedy this, you can use these pads, which will add a certain number of spaces to the bottom of each text source, and that will keep their position stable. I found that these numbers work for the fonts that I have, but you may need to experiment to find something that works for your setup. If I click Update Scoreboard and load to OBS again, you'll see that everything is now nicely aligned inside the assets that I have. And that's it. In future, I recommend pinning the exe to the taskbar so you can just open it just by clicking the taskbar icon. And all you need to do is use Load to OBS, Clear, and these options for updating the scoreboard.